Hello class. In this video I just want to talk about importing images into Illustrator to set up a presentation like this. It's really simple and really again this video is more directed towards the actual network infrastructure we have on campus and the way students tend to work than any real Illustrator knowledge, but I wanted to make sure this was available to my students. And so you can imagine, here's an example presentation. I have a image that I created through several pieces of software, finishing up with post-processing in Photoshop, and then I've got some CAD elements here that I have with a little bit of poching and things that I did in Illustrator. And the nice thing is about Illustrator, one of the things you can do is you can collect all these images together really easily to create this presentation. And so I have a slightly different artboard here from my last video than I've shown there, but the process is all the same. To import an image, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I am going to go to Place. I say Import, but Illustrator uses the term Place. And you go to wherever it happens to be saved, and I've got a bunch of things here, and I select it. Now the thing that my students really want to be careful of is they want to make sure that this link is unchecked, because if it's checked you need also the original image and a similar file structure, but because our computers they automatically reboot and lose files, if you don't link it you will lose the thing that you're trying to place. If you uncheck it like I did, it's going to put all that drawing information into this file. Yes, it will make this Illustrator file size larger, but it's sort of the safe way to go. That said, if you're in an office that has a good network, using link, it's pretty smart, but again, make sure link is unchecked. So uncheck it, go to Place, let it load in here. Here we go. Just computer's running slow, and I clicked and it drops in, and you can pull it in, and there you go. Now you might also have to adjust size, so I can go to the corner. If I rescale something like a perspective, scale doesn't matter too much. I want to make sure I hold Shift on my keyboard so it's proportional. I don't want to pull up and squish anything one side or another. If you do that in Illustrator, it can be difficult to get it back to its original proportions, so just make sure you never do that. Always scale from the corners. All right, so I could, in the example one that I did, I sort of put the image there. I didn't have these artboards. If I delete that artboard and delete this artboard, so if I'm sort of emulating similar to what I have on the other sheet, it'd be something like this. Of course, you can use Illustrator content inside itself, so you might go to Layer and make a new layer, as I did. I use some sort of dark gray or black color for the side. Set your color, draw your box, so it's sort of a hybrid. Some of the content was drawn in Photoshop, some of it is drawn in Illustrator. Just create a layer. You could probably name the layer to help yourself out, but then this is what I dropped the plans and elevations on. Now you do have a couple options when you get to plans and elevations, depending on what software you rendered them in or whether you have rendered them at all. If you've rendered them in Illustrator in another file, or if you've rendered them in Photoshop, just go ahead and do the same thing you did like I did this perspective. File, Place, you drop them in. Make sure you just click when you place them, because you do want them to be to scale. And hopefully they're rendered to scale, right? So and you don't want to change that, or if you do, you want to change it to a known scale that you're working with. So for example, if I come back a few slides, I can go to let's see, elevation. This is not going to be the same elevation, I don't think, that I did before, but I have drawn an elevation in Illustrator here. So I'll hit Place here, and again I'm just going to click in so it comes into the original scale that I did that there, and I don't remember what scale it was, and definitely not the same one I have in my example, but we can see that it worked there, and you can place it in there. Alternatively, if you're really doing a simple rendering like I have here, you could just if you have the CAD file or you have a PDF from the CAD file, you could place that in here and just do some of this minor rendering and whatnot right into the file, which I think is what I did here. If I look at some of these layers, you can see actually some of this is on different layers in here. Yep, which means that I just rendered it right. I just rendered it right here in Illustrator. I placed some of it in, and then I made some new layers and tweaked it just right here in Illustrator. So you can do a combination of all of that stuff to get it to work. So using Illustrator for drawing and using the place file to create a whole unified presentation. So good luck with that. And I think I might follow up this one video just to talk about guides and things of that nature.